My name is Jim Manning, and I'm the author of Patriotism, Unhinged, available worldwide through online retailers. We're going to talk about some of my friends who have been involved in the Kennedy assassination studies. Number one today will be Mary Moorman. We're going to show you a couple of pictures of Mary. One, what she looked like at the time of the assassination, and one, how she looks these days. She took the most famous picture of the 20th century. She had gone down to see if she could get a picture of Kennedy with her Polaroid camera. The Polaroid camera makes a picture 4 inches by 6 inches. And as the limousine crossed in front of her, she snapped a picture at the exact second that a man shot a rifle shot and hit Mr. Kennedy in the temple. The exact second. Now, I'll explain in a few minutes how we know that. When her picture was developed, right behind the limousine, there was sort of a fan of materials, blood, maybe some brain material, some bone that had flown off. It looked like a fan right behind the limousine. Mostly it hit the motorcycle driver on the left side of the limousine.
Being here today just brings back all the memories, really mixed emotions, more so than the last few times that I've been here. I saw a man killed right in front of my eyes.
When Mary Ann Moorman was 31 years old, she learned that the presidential motorcade would drive through downtown Dallas. She was a fan of the First Lady, Jacqueline Kennedy. So Mary Ann and a friend, Jean Hill, headed to Dealey Plaza to watch the procession.
My son was in school, and I had told him, "You can't be out of school, but I'll take a picture for you," never dreaming that that picture would be part of history.
Moorman, shown here in a still frame of the home movie famously shot by Abraham Zapruder, took just one photograph of the president that day. A grainy Polaroid snapped right as the presidential limousine was passing by.
As the car got closer to us, I stepped closer to the curb here, and Jean was yelling, "Mr. President, look this way." And when I put the camera up to my face, I wanted to make sure it was as close as I could get to him, and I snapped the picture, looking through the viewfinder, of course.
When the photo was developed, it became clear Moorman had pressed the shutter just as the 46-year-old president was hit and fatally wounded by a rifle's bullet. It's the only known photograph of the moment the president was struck that also captures the grassy knoll, an image studied endlessly over the years to determine if another shooter was there.
When the motorcade started to pass, she realized that she hadn't taken the one photograph that she promised her son.
Alan Governor is the writer and filmmaker behind The Silent Witness Speaks, which documents Moorman's story.
And when I asked her, "What did you see when you looked through the viewfinder?" she said she thought there was a gust of wind because his hair lifted up. She had no idea that what she was photographing was the assassination of the President of the United States.
Jackie hollered, "My God, he's been shot." We heard that so plain. And then just seconds later, he had slumped over on Jackie, and she started to climb out of the car. Well, by that time...
This interview with Moorman was filmed earlier this year at Dealey Plaza, where the 81-year-old originally took the iconic picture. The film is now being displayed at an exhibit at the International Center of Photography in New York City. It's called JFK, A Bystander's View of History.
To me, photography was a way to manage that grief and that trauma, a way to try to get a handle on what really happened.
Brian Wallace, chief curator, poured over thousands of photographs for the exhibit.
One of the things that immediately struck me about these photographs was that sort of up-close and personal intimacy of these snapshots. I was surprised to find that people were allowed tremendous access to the president. In fact, the motorcade through Dallas in November 1963 was just for that purpose, so large crowds could get close to the president. The most extraordinary by far is the Polaroid taken by Marianne Moorman at the exact instant that the president was struck by the first bullet.
And it all happened in such just seconds, moments, really. And it was over with.
Now, through the exponential development of photography, a number of years ago, a gentleman who specifically studies photography, Leroy Blevins, decided to work on that shot. And what happened was that what you cannot see in the 4 by 6 inch picture, but when it's blown up accurately, there's a 1/4 of an inch by a 1/4 of an inch square that shows a man with a rifle in his hand, and coming out in front of the rifle is what appears to be smoke. It's the gases exploding from the bullet. And the man, you can't see his face, but you can see his head, his hairline, and it's unmistakable what he's doing. Now, we also have another picture where there's a man standing to the right of that man with the rifle, who appears to be in an army uniform with a pointed cap. And that's Gordon Arnold, who most of the researchers are familiar with. Now, one of the things that is a little different about these photographs is that depth is a problem. So it looks like he's standing right next to the shooter. However, the shooter might have been 10 feet behind him. On the left-hand side of the shooter, there's a man with a hard hat, possibly a railroad worker, but more than likely it was his job to make sure that nobody got to the shooter after the shots were taken and he was on his way out of there. We're going to now show you a shot that was made by Charles Rogers. Charles Rogers, very interesting character. He was from Texas originally. He was indicted for the murder and mismemberment of his mother and father. The authorities found them chopped up and both of them in a refrigerator. He was a student of physics and also was a member of the Central Intelligence Agency. He disappeared pretty much after the assassination. He's seen in the pergola where Zapruder and Mrs. Weitzman, who works for Zapruder, is steadying him on a pedestal. He has got a rifle, he's left-handed, and he's shooting from that pergola. And just a few feet to his right, there's a hole in the pergola, and you can see that there's a man there, and you can see that there's a rifle there. And that, I believe, is Charles Harrelson. And Charles Harrelson is a known killer and eventually went to prison for life for killing a federal judge. I didn't know until recently that the archives has a picture of the cadaver where there's another hole in Mr. Kennedy's head, which is under his ear, below and to the rear of his ear, which would have come perfectly from that pergola. This is something that very few people have seen. Charles Rogers and Harrelson and Chauncey Holt were the three tramps. Whenever the pictures were taken of the three tramps, they were also blown up. And you will see a picture of Charles Rogers walking toward the camera. When it was blown up, you could see that on his left lapel where he would have had the gun up to shoot from his left side, an indentation of a rifle butt along with a image of some kind that was on the rifle butt itself. This kind of evidence is non-arguable. He was a shooter, he was a CIA person, and him and Charles Harrelson definitely were in position to make adequate use of their shooting.